It's been a couple weeks since we've had story time. So let's do some story time. Uh, I had a really great response to a previous episode called Ghosts Are People Too. And that's another story if you missed that episode. It's a bit of a fascinating one where I went into an insane asylum, an old abandoned insane asylum, and did a clearing. And I got a lot of people in the comments and reaching out to me saying, I want to do this crossing over work. I find that the idea of doing crossing over work can sound very overwhelming to someone. And they think that there's this like title or way that they have to be or certain training that they have to do to step into it. And today I want to share with you some stories of crossing over to show you two things. Number one, the diversity of the experiences that you're going to experience in the in-between working with people and crossing over is huge. There's so many different situations. And two, if you know that, if you know going in that no two situations will ever be the same and you hold yourself in a certain way, crossing over work will come very easily to you. Very easily to you. So I'm going to share some stories today. Let's talk about some situations that I've experienced and how that can apply to you and perhaps for you to start doing some crossing over work because it's really good stuff. All right, let's do this. Crossing over work can get a bad rap. It can be seen as fear mongering and things like this. And I don't line up with that crap at all. I'm not interested. The journey of somebody passing away, leaving their physical body behind and crossing over to the other side is absolutely beautiful. And it's honored all over the globe. And it's an automatic process, but occasionally someone will stall in their transition. And, we use the word stuck, somebody stuck in the in-between. And that stuck word, I think, is what triggers the fear. But I want to demystify that a little bit and share with you some stories today of some very real people and very real situations where they were, stuck, AKA paused in their transition of crossing over, and how simple really it is to be able to assist them, because it's not step one, step two, step three, step four, and you have to be highly skilled at doing this. You just need to show up. So we're going to dive into that today. I want to welcome anyone new to the channel. Thank you for being here. Do me a favor. I'm trying to build the channel. So do the subscribe, share, that kind of a click thing. Send out some comments too and let me know if you've had crossing over experiences or if you're interested in doing crossing over experiences, because I love to hear that. And if you're not new to the channel, welcome back, my friend. This episode is focused on how it's not a special few people that are out there to do crossing over work. It's not that you have to have some golden badge that says you are somebody that can do this. Everyone can do it. If we got rid of pop culture and we got rid of all of the, indoctrinated kind of belief structures that have happened over the last thousands of years, right? It's something that is so natural and we're so connected to it organically, naturally, that everyone can do it. There was a time when most cultures, probably every culture, understood the transition process, understood that their loved one was going through the transition process, and acknowledged that that was happening for them. Today, that's not so much talked about. And just the acknowledgement is really all we need. I'm going to do a super quick, like light version of what happens when we pass and we cross over, because I'm going to reflect on that in telling you some of these experiences that I've had and how you can move forward too with doing crossing over work yourself. I hope I remember to do this, but I want to dispel some of the fear around it. But I'm going to go real quick over the crossing over process, the transition process, what happens for somebody when they cross over. And if you want to go deep into it, I have literally a crossing over course that's hours long. So if this is your gig and you're like, yes, I want to know everything, you can jump into that course. But for the sake of this storytelling session, I will say this. You hear me talk a lot about the three bodies, and this is another time that the three bodies really clearly explains the transition process. When we're on Earth, we have three bodies. The physical body, that's our fabulous meat suit we're sporting around in. You've got the programming body, which is who you are in this lifetime. It is your mind on linear time. And then we have your spirit, your energetic body, also known as your spiritual body, and that's your spirit, right? So when we're here, we have all three. When we pass away, right? When we die, the physical body disconnects from the other two bodies, and the physical body stays here with Mama Earth. The other two bodies that are left, which are your spiritual body, your spirit, and your programming body, who you were in linear time, those two bodies together go through the in-between. They go through a transitional phase. And upon completing that transition, you will release the programming body. You will release the who you were in this particular lifetime, and the spiritual body will then cross over to the other side. It's kind of like saying your spirit takes with you this lifetime of experiences and reviews them through the transitional process. And upon completing that review, we'll let go of that programming body, the mind on linear time, and we'll cross over to the other side in full spirit form. Couple things come out of this that I find fascinating, and these come into play when it comes to crossing over work. Couple things are interesting. The first one would be when you run into a spirit that is in the in-between, in their transition, on their way to crossing over, they are the exact same person they were as they were in life. So if Earl was a jerk, we all know Earl was a jerk. If Earl was a jerk in life, he's probably going to have some of those tendencies as he's crossing over and processing through and reviewing his life experience. He'll let that go. Another thing that comes from this that I think is beautiful, actually, because good old Earl. Actually, let me give you one more example that's a more positive one, because thanks, Earl. Let me give you one more example. Let's say you have somebody that is super community oriented and their passion is to help others. They might pass away, leave their physical body on Earth, and their programming body, because that's who they were in this lifetime, they were always helping everybody. They might go through the transition and go through the in-between to get to the other side, and they might be helping spirits along the way. They might be connecting with people in the in-between, saying, are you okay? Come on, I got you. We can all do this together. Because they are the exact same person they were on Earth as they are in the in-between. And that's just another positive spin on that. So when you run into a spirit that hasn't crossed over yet and is in the in-between, keep in mind that's who they were on Earth. Here's the beautiful one I interrupted myself on, but here's another one that's the beautiful piece. When we connect with a spirit that has crossed over and has completed that transition, they are the best of themselves. Why? Because they dropped the Earl portion when they crossed over, and they dropped the programming body. The programming body is what's stuck on linear time. And when you're stuck on linear time, you have fear because you don't know what's coming up, or you have fear and uncertainty or anxiety because you're unsure of what's going to happen. That's the programming body. You also have joy and surprise and anticipation and excitement, and you can only have those on linear time. So once you let go of that programming body, which is what anchors you into linear time, and you cross over to the other side that does not function on linear time, you have just your purest form of the soul. You have your personality, because bet you be, I'm funny over there too. Look at me. I feel like I just bragged about being funny, but you still have your personality on the other side. That person that helps everybody, that is part of their personality on the other side. So you have the best of them. So sometimes in reading sessions over the years with a client, let's say that a parent comes through, one of their parents who's on the other side. And this can be really difficult for them because the parent was vicious and horrible. And I tell them, number one, you respect your feelings around it because that's what's most important. But number two, I can hopefully reassure you that they are now the best of themselves, and that they do care. They also typically acknowledge the role that they played in your life. But the positive of crossing over is that they let go of the tendencies that brought out the negative, right? So somebody on the other side, a spirit on the other side, is the best of themselves. They are no longer on linear time. This leads me to say, how do you know when a spirit's stuck? A spirit, if a spirit is feeling, because you don't need to necessarily see clearly or hear clearly, anyone can feel a spirit that's stuck. The vibe is off, you know someone's there, and there's a feeling around it. And if the feeling around it is in any negative source, scared, fearful, angry, anything like this, that spirit is in the in-between. They have not completely crossed over yet. They have either paused their transition or they've gotten themselves stuck in some way, or something has gotten them stuck. I'll give you some examples in the stories. If you feel a spirit in the room and you don't feel any of that kind of linear time, fear-based energy, then that's a spirit that's crossed over. Two totally different things, right? Now, when it comes to crossing over work for yourself, mind you, I'm going to tell you a bunch of examples. Please remember that I've been open intuitively and working professionally for almost 20 years. I've been doing crossing over work for almost that long as well. And when you do it all the time, it gets stronger and stronger and stronger. So when you start doing crossing over work, you might not necessarily see details or hear details like you're going to hear in the stories that I'm about to share, but that will come in time. I promise you. I've walked side by side with people over the years who have developed their abilities as well through crossing over any spirits that are stalled or stuck or hesitant, and their abilities open up. If you're doing work that is positive and helpful to other souls, which is exactly what this is, your abilities are going to sharpen. They're going to fine tune. Guarantee it. So we just start with showing up and loving them unconditionally. Now, let me give you some examples of all the different. I'm laughing because I know the first one I want to share with you, but of all the different situations you can run into, and what I want you to think about in these stories that I'm sharing with you is how important it is to not make any assumptions doing crossing over work, to stay open to the possibilities of what you're dealing with, and to simply navigate each of these with love. You're going to see that in each one. I'm laughing because the one I want to share with you is probably one of the most embarrassing ones for me. Way to go, Bo. Let's just Exhibit A, Bo throwing herself under the bus. Here we go. I had to go to the federal building because this was years ago when you do taxes and back then, and you had to actually write them out on paper. So this is probably 15 years ago or so. I went to the federal building in my town, and I went to go up to the third floor to get tax forms, and then I was just going to go home. When you go into the federal building, you have to go through security and the checkpoint and all that. And there was 3 security guards there. And I got into the elevator, which was right next to the security station, rode the elevator up 3 floors, got my tax forms, got back into the elevator. I'm now back into the elevator, and I see a male spirit in the elevator with me. And I say to him, what's going on? And I can feel that he's nervous. So that nervous feeling tells me that he is stuck and needs assistance. So step 1, feel. Step 2, love unconditionally. And I heard him say, I'm looking for her. And I said, who are you looking for? He's like, my wife. She said that she would be here when I got here. And I said, okay, so your wife is passed away? And he said, yeah. And she said that she would be here for you. He said, yeah. And I remember saying to him, okay, I want you to think about her face. Like, what did she look like? I want you to picture her. I want you to feel the warmth of hugging her and loving her. And that was all it took. That was all it took. Yes, this is not the embarrassing part, but that was all it took for this sweet man to be able to release and continue on his crossing over process. And I saw him start to dissipate, which is my symbol for their crossing over. But as I'm watching this, I'm realizing that I'm seeing the elevator doors closing, and it's coming into vision very quickly that because I was alone in the elevator, I spoke to this man out loud. I didn't speak to him in my mind. I was speaking to him out loud. And the realization came hard and fast that I had landed on the first floor, that the elevator doors had opened, that the security guards, who I saw as the elevator doors were closing, looking at me, were watching me have a conversation with this man. And I was so engrossed in it that I didn't realize the doors opened, and I only realized it upon them closing. So now I'm in an elevator, doors closed, first floor, all by myself, knowing fully well that I have to open the doors, walk out past these three guards who are looking at me like I have three heads. And that's exactly what happened. And I scurried away. I just sort of, hi officers, bye. You saw nothing. Yeah, that one was kind of embarrassing. But the man was very sweet. And in this first one, and in the others, I want you to see a pattern for your own crossing over work. I want you to see a pattern of, I felt something was off. I felt a linear based emotion, which was feeling lost and feeling fearful. And then I got him to focus on something that's connected to him, something that, a connection of love, bring in unconditional love in some way, shape, or form. Because the crossing over process is absolutely automatic. You've heard probably numerous people talk about near-death experiences and how they're just automatically drawn to the light to cross over. That is that's what's happening. And when somebody pauses, it's because they panic or they have fear. That's exactly what happened to that gentleman. He was probably going right toward the light and then didn't see his wife right away and panicked, saying, oh no, she's supposed to be here. And so all we did was we just bring in the love of the wife, and then he starts to see and he can feel her, and then he starts moving forward again. It really is that simple. Crossing over is not a superhero gig where one medium who's a special medium like walks somebody through the gates of the other side. It's just not the case. Here's another one. This one will address a common fear, or a common reason why people get stuck. I ran across a gentleman who was in the in-between spirit form, and he like eyes closed, wasn't moving anywhere. And when I say eyes closed, it's kind of symbolic. Like I know he's closing his eyes and he's not looking. And I said, okay, I see you. What's going on? I'm here with you. What's happening? And he said, I don't want to go to hell. And I said, okay, why do you feel like you're going to hell? And he goes, can't you see it? It's hell. And I said, okay. He said, my father always told me that I was so bad that when I died, I was going to go to hell. Okay. Step one, punch the father in the throat. I'm just kidding. Don't condone violence. No, really step one was to bring in calm, bring in love, and help him to kind of focus on something other than that. Because in order to stop this automatic process of crossing over, they have to focus heavily on something. Gentleman one was focused on trying to find his wife. This gentleman was focused on this absolute lie that his father grossly told him. So tell me what you love. Tell me what you love to do. Did you have a best friend? What did you love to do? What do you get excited about? And so sort of trying to open up that path of thinking about something other than, his tool of a father. I'm sorry. I apologize. I just get mad when people instill fear in other people. And so I can feel things starting to lighten. He's starting to talk about this. He's starting to talk about that. He's like, well, I loved my grandmother, things like this. And getting them to focus on the vibration of love is going to get them to start moving forward again. And it was that simple. And then I could feel him relax, and then I could feel him start to move on his very natural transition once again, which is really crossing over in a nutshell. Now, why did he see, flames and hell? This is because, and this goes back to what we talked about before with the three bodies, the only thing that limits us in this lifetime from manifesting anything that we want is the physical body. That's it. So if we leave the physical body behind and we're in the in-between with the programming body and the spiritual body, we are incredible manifestors. So what we believe firmly and we focus in on, we will create. So for him, he passed, realized he passed, and then went right to that repetitive abusive statement from his father that he was going to go to, the mythical place of hell. And that's what he started to see. And so we calm from the panic. We start thinking about things that are more based in love. Who do you love that's on the other side that's going to be so excited to see you? What did you love? What do you love to do? What brings you joy? Those are questions that you can use even if your abilities aren't quite sharpened yet in the crossing over process. Now, let's talk about a couple other ones that were odd. I remember, and this is rare, to meet somebody in the in-between who doesn't know that they're deceased. I remember running into a female spirit, and she was in a car and she was on her way to college. And you could tell that she was super confused. That was the feeling that came through. Step one, what's the feeling? All right, confusion. This is somebody that's not crossed over. They're definitely in the in-between. And I said, okay, I'm here. What's going on? What's happening? She says, I'm on a bad trip. I'm like, okay, so bad vacation. Like I was trying to figure this out. I just heard the word trip and then I felt it and I felt, oh, are you on a bad trip from drugs? And the minute I said that, it was like she focused in more closely on me, like I had seen her. And I'll talk about that in a second because that's an important piece as well. And she said, yes, I took these drugs. I'm on a bad trip and it won't stop. And I said, okay. And that's when I realized she didn't realize she had passed. She said, I'm trying to get to school. I'm trying to get to school. She was talking like she was still driving to school. So chances are very good. And I don't know the details because details for me aren't overly important when it comes to crossing over. The thing that's important is helping the person cross over. And I'm going to speculate that because she was dressed, I remember like that 1970s clothing. I'm going to speculate that she, was on drugs, struggled with it, got in a car accident maybe on the way to school, and wasn't aware that she was no longer on a bad trip. She was in the process of crossing over. So again, deep breathing. I want you to feel something. What do you really, really love? She's like, well, I love Mother Earth and I love trees. And I said, okay, just imagine sitting next to a tree and feeling all that love and joy. And then I could just feel clarity come in. And then she started to dissipate, right? It's not like we're going to sit there and have a conversation with them and maybe you will, maybe they want to, but for the most part, all they want to do is be able to go home. And that's exactly what happened. When I mentioned, seeing them and being there and being present, that's really 90% of crossing over. We're not supposed to die alone. We're not alone. We're never disconnected. We are all connected. We don't come into this world alone. That's for sure. And that's biologically for sure. There's always somebody present, and we're never supposed to be completely alone. So energetically, spirit can show up for us so we're not alone, or we can show up for spirit so they're not alone. And just laying eyes on it metaphorically and saying, I see you. I see that you're suffering. I probably wouldn't use the word suffering. I can see that you're struggling. Tell me some things that you loved or some people that you love, or what are you passionate about, and getting them to raise their vibration. So now, number one, they're not alone. Number two, they feel the love. And that love vibration gets them right back into that automatic people mover. Okay, another one that was really unusual. And this one's going to be like the exclamation point of you just don't know what you're going to find in between. This one was interesting because a living gentleman had called me to do a clearing on his house. And I tapped into the house. I saw 2 or 3 spirits, and 2 of them went really quickly. So there was 3. And it was the 3rd one. This is what we're talking about. It's not the other spirits. It was one of the spirits. And he was a gentleman. He looked like he might have been in his 50s or 60s. And he felt different. And I walked up to him. He felt solid, is the only way I can explain it. I walked up to him and I said, hello, sir. What's going on? Because I could tell that he wasn't in that peaceful kind of centered state. I could tell that he was processing something. And that was the feeling. Step one, what's the feeling? So I said, can I help you? And I walked up to him with that intent. Can I help you? What do you experience? What's going on? I'm going to fill the space with love. And he looked at me and he was like, stop, just stop. And there was a hint of condescension. He was a bit condescending. I'm being nice. He was condescending. And but I instantly felt like young, or like not like young whimsical, like a student, right? I just felt like this man knew something. And I said, what's going on? Because he had told me to just stop it. He goes, stop what you're doing, just stop. I said, what's going on? And he said, I'm working and I don't need you to interfere. And I said, well, I'm just trying to help you. And he's like, I don't need your help. And that's when he went on to explain to me that he was, and I'm not going to get the names right with this, but he was like a 32nd level something. And it was, just think, secret society or spiritual society. And when he said it, I recognized what he said. And honestly, I remember leaving that experience saying, well, I'm never going to tell people I know that anyway. So even if I did remember it, I wouldn't say it to you right now. But he was like a 32nd level something. And the minute he said it, I was like, oh, I instantly felt, this is what I mean by young. I felt like the second grader walking up to the teacher saying, hey, do you need assistance back to the classroom? Like that was the feeling. And I was like, ooh, I'm amongst someone here who knows exactly what they're doing and they're working in the in-between. And he said, yes. So he explained to me, like I said, I'm a 30 some level, whatever, and I'm working. And he says, I know what I'm doing. And when I'm done, I'll cross. And I went, yes, sir. Thank you. And so again, feeling like a second grader, standing in the presence of a teacher, this dude knew some stuff, man. And it was clear, and he was focused, and he didn't really have any time to entertain me. I get it. I said, can I ask one favor? Anything that's affecting this guy's house, can you not do? And he was like, oh yeah, I can. Yeah, that can be done. That's fine. I said, thank you, and then just sort of pulled back from that situation and went on my way. There are going to be very rare circumstances where somebody shouldn't cross, and they will have a very solid reason as to why. This is completely different than somebody just being scared to cross because of something that came through some sort of indoctrination or emotional psychological training in life or something like this. So most times it's fear, and on a rare occasion the people will be in there knowing what they're doing or there for a reason, or et cetera, and you'll know. And then you think, oh, well, you should cross everybody over. It's not that you're in control of crossing over. You're just sort of infusing some love into the situation to raise the vibration to assist them in their journey. You don't really have like authority or say or the ability to help somebody complete their transition. What you have is the ability to raise the vibration in order to help them step back into that automatic pull toward love and toward light, which is the other side. Okay, so those are a couple. I've been doing it for 20 years. I have so many. So I'll save those for a future episode. I'll do a whole nother batch of these again in the future. What I want you to leave here with today is I want you to leave here with the knowledge that everyone has what it takes to do crossing over work. Crossing over work is not a special thing that only certain people can do. It is a natural thing that all souls have done through all of time. We are all connected. So start with the basics. If you're not familiar with my tool called GCP, please look it up. It's Ground Clear Protect GCP. I have a free course that I've been teaching for 15 years. Go find it in there. But always start with GCP when you come across a spirit that you think might be stuck. Ground, clear, protect. It's a practice that takes 2 seconds to do once you get used to doing it. And that's just to take care of yourself, because you got to put your oxygen mask on first. And then the next thing to do is to feel the vibe. What's the vibe? I know there's a spirit in the room. Okay, GCP. What's the vibe? Okay, the vibe is not a positive one. There's definitely a discomfort or something here. So that's step one. Step two, you can talk to them, even if it's a one-sided conversation. Ask them about what do you love to do? Who is somebody that you're really connected to, that you really love? What brings you joy? If you want one sentence, what brings you joy? And start bringing in that energy of unconditional, high vibrational love, and you will feel them start moving on their path again. It is that simple. Really is that simple. Infuse them with love, help them raise their vibration, and they'll click right back into that automatic people mover. And honestly, I think everyone should do this. Anytime you're in any situation that where you're like, I feel like something's stuck, if you feel uncomfortable, if it's in your own home, send out a bubble and push everybody out of the house, right? That's not supposed to be there. But then maybe go out to your front porch, right? Grab a cup of coffee, go out to the front porch, because now that spirit who wasn't supposed to be in your living room is now outside because you've set your own personal boundaries. This is that GCP. But maybe go out to the porch just for a quick second and check in with them and say, here's a bunch of love, unconditional love. Take a deep breath, which is an ironic thing to say, but you know what I mean? Take a metaphorical breath. What are you passionate about? What brings you joy? Shake them loose from focusing on the thing that's got them scared or fearful or concerned, and you're going to see that they're going to automatically start moving and transitioning. So if you have a situation, now you have some tools. All right. Well, that was story time, and I will see you next week.
This podcast is brought to you by The Sage Method, the most comprehensive and down-to-earth intuitive development training available. Is this your year? Is it finally your time to increase your intuition, bring in more abundance, and experience the bliss you deserve? If yes, then join thousands of students across the world for a 7-week journey to uncover your natural, beautiful, and strong intuition. Visit us at thesagemethod.com for more information.